I don't have no damn toast video.
Yeah, we're the bells and whistles are going to be. It's economy time. It's the economy version of SNATA.
Yeah, and I tried to use it, but Dave like gave me a copyright strike notice immediately. He had his attorney get in touch with me and say I can't use toast. And normally on SNATA we pick such low-hanging fruit that I get tired. My back hurts from bending over. I mean, it's that low. So we're going to pick eye-level fruit today with Rebekah's video. Eye-level. So a little higher and a little more involved. But I thought it would get... Okay, this guy, his name is Cornelius Hunter, and he has a channel called Darwin's God? Is that what it is? Or is it God's Darwin? I don't know.
Darwin's God, yeah.
Darwin's God. Anyway, yeah. And
yeah,
I thought I would just...
great right off the rip with that name there, huh?
Right. So Eugene Koonin and Wolf, who are, as I explained earlier to Scott, are like Zeus and, who's the other big god? I mean, God himself. Zeus and Jesus, right? So he picks, basically they released a new paper where they're using, I think they're using AlphaFold, that AI protein folding thing. And they found that protein evolution is easier than they thought. And he goes on and explains, oh no, they don't have any selection criteria, totally missing the point of the paper. Anyway, so I'm going to see if I can share this first. We're just going to look at a couple tiny little clips from this video because it kind of tells you a little bit about this guy, I think. I had a higher opinion of him before I saw this.
Yeah, it's on protein stuff.
Yeah, protein folding. I have
protein folding specifically. That's perfect. You know, T. Savo, the guy I'm having on my channel tomorrow, the guy who did experiments with Dr. Arnold that won her the Nobel Prize. He's a computational biologist who helped her out on the enzyme evolution work she did that won her the Nobel Prize. Protein folding is one of his areas of expertise, and he's going to talk about it tomorrow on the live stream.
How'd you get this guy?
Pure luck. Met him on Facebook, had a little conversation with him. He liked what I had to say, and he said he would come on my channel and support me because he likes supporting creators. So maybe you'll get him to come on your channel too.
Wow. So it doesn't give you the option. It only gives you the option of using Chrome tabs. Oh no. Oh no. What the hell? Why can't I share? Okay, maybe window. Okay, window. Okay, this will work. Maybe this will work. Maybe I hope. Share. Come on. Why ain't it sharing it? What's happening? Oh, we are so good at this YouTube stuff. The browser can't access your screen. Try capturing a different. Oh, they won't play nice with. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, I know what I'm going to do. I can do it this way. Copy video at current time. I'm going to have to put it in Chrome. Where's Chrome? Oh, this is going to suck. Well, have you had any experience with trying to use Opera or? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because
Not
my bookmark program quit working on Chrome because they did an update and they screwed it up. So we'll try this. Production values are us. We are
You
so
tried
good at
Bing
this.
or that other one, Firefox.
I haven't tried that one, no. Sure. Okay.
I know
What's
this
happening?
is production for everybody.
I see it, but I don't hear it.
I know. Well, that's because oh God, this can be horrible. Okay, let's try this. Oh, yeah.
Mutation to the next. How are these mutations?
Hear it now?
I hear it.
Yep.
Okay.
He sounds quiet, but that
Selected.
just
So
may
you're
be
simulating
him.
kind of the evolutionary process here. Now, by the way,
I hear
the paper
it,
doesn't
and
claim to
it looks
actually.
pretty good. It's visual. You can see it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it pretty? Is too quiet? Really?
No, I can hear it all right.
Oh, okay.
He's rambling about
come up
mutations
with the exact pathway that evolution used. They're simply coming up with plausible pathways that could have been used, kind of realistically show the pathway by which a protein could evolve. Still,
Yeah.
it's a major claim, and if it's true, it would be monumental.
No.
The problem is, how
it's
do you
not
set up
the
that
claim.
selection
It is
criteria?
the data
When
that
you
supports
have
the
a
claim.
random sequence and then you start mutating.
We start pausing the video and interrupting and correcting him yet, are we? we're just.
Are you guys overtime?
Yeah, I
Are
was
you done over?
Yeah.
Okay,
sorry.
you're done over. Okay. Because you got to listen to this part. Okay, it's coming up.
It still is not going to work very well. It's not going to do much. A random sequence plus a few mutations isn't going to do much. Somehow you have to have a gradual fitness, upward sloping fitness landscape that's going to select for the right mutations that will lead you toward a useful protein. So you have to have this gradual, smooth, upward sloping fitness landscape. That's crucial to this problem, and that's been a big problem in the science for decades, is coming up with this sort of a landscape that would create this evolutionary process, result in this evolutionary process. This paper takes that very lightly. They don't really even address it as a significant problem. They simply present this little nonchalant equation at the end of the paper as though it's not a big deal. Well, that's where all the heavy lifting is. It's equation 4 toward the end of the paper, and it gives you the selection criteria. And the selection criteria they're using is to be condensing the collapsing the structure, selecting for structures that are more and more collapsed. Well, that's the whole problem, is collapsing that structure, selecting for mutations that are going to create a globular protein. I was doing this 25 years ago. The only difference.
It sounds like he's talking bullshit here. I don't know what he's talking about.
I think what he is talking about is he's talking about the possibility space of protein development, and that was a problem in protein folding for decades, but is not so much a problem anymore. People have characterized it with mechanisms like hydrophobic and hydrophilic side chains. It just comes down to chemistry, again, like a lot of biology does.
He's talking about
very heavy-handedly with my periodic table of elements in the background here. It's just the properties of what a protein is, and thanks. So if a protein is ionic, it can attract water, or it can repel water on parts of it, because molecules are polar sometimes, meaning they have magnetic attractions. So that can reduce the possibility space of the answer to the question, how does a protein fold? And creationists like to pretend it's a brute force searching problem, which isn't a problem for biology either. There are problems in biology that are solved with brute force searching. For instance, the antibodies that protect you from viruses. But nevertheless, this isn't even one of those problems. It's not a brute force problem. There are characterizable mechanics to how a protein folding occurs. At least that's how
yeah, but
I'm not an expert on protein folding like the person I'm having on my channel tomorrow is.
He's talking about collapsing into a globular protein, and that's right. It's bullshit. He's talking about something in the paper that
I think he's talking about molecular geometry, but in a way that's very techno-babbly. Yeah, I'm having trouble tracking what he's meaning by that too.
Yeah, I don't know what he means by that. Anyway, that wasn't a part of it. Okay, I went back to the part I want to show. So listen to this. This is the part where I kind of lost respect for him.
The left is left to the student, but for the most part, they've solved this problem. It's the fascinating claims that they're making. Certainly will be an award-winning paper, and they're going to get some big awards for this if this is all true. Well, there is just one little problem. It isn't true. In fact, this is phony science. It's garbage. What they do in this paper is they set up this method.
That's what I wanted. That's where I lost respect for him.
Yeah, that's some pretty strong language there.
So on Rebekah's video, he cites Eugene Koonin with the probability of protein folding problem or a protein evolution, and he believes that Koonin in that paper or his book, the book where Koonin did the back of the envelope calculations,
function sequence evolution.
Yeah, it came up with the multiverse bullshit in Koonin's book. He believes that part, but now Koonin's latest paper in 2025, where they used AlphaFold and they actually did some really good work to show that there is a pathway. He doesn't believe this one. So anyway,
of course, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he accepts function sequence evolution, because in that one, Koonin outlines how you can track the genealogies of not only organisms to substantiate evolutionary model, you can track the genealogies of microorganisms, of elements of individuals. Like you can track the genealogies of proteins themselves, of enzymes themselves, and they sort into characterizable families. There are variations even at that level.
He's got a lot of things to say about that.
That's wild. That I'm surprised he accepts one book at all. Honestly, I'm not surprised that he dumps all over another book. I'm surprised he dumps only on one. Honestly,
well, he selects the part of Koonin's book that basically agree with him. There were like 3 paragraphs in Koonin's book.
Yeah, because he talks about how he thinks extended evolutionary synthesis is better than modern synthesis. Is that the one? I bet anything.
No, the one where Koonin starts entertaining the idea of the multiverse, which Koonin should not have put that in the book. Because they just love that one. It's like about 70% through the book. Koonin mentions the multiverse. It's because it had just come out at the time that Koonin wrote.
By the way, I just want to mention with this guy, anybody can obviously comment on what they think about evolution or theology or creationism or the price of eggs in California. But I was going through a summary of this guy's qualifications. And these are 2 very important bullet points. No published research in evolutionary theory, population genetics, or paleontology. This guy's not an evolutionary biologist. He's an engineer with an opinion, which, they're about a dime a dozen, and that's probably overstating what his opinion is worth. His peer-reviewed work is primarily in signal processing and engineering applications rather than evolutionary biology. His critiques are philosophical in nature and theological in nature, not based on original empirical research.
I was going to say engineering already kind of has like that professional bias towards like a design view, but then the specific signal engineering, that is... I've met a lot of like woo-woo types who love the signal engineering nonsense. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised that's his.
Now, if this guy starts relying on very good, primary and secondary sources, that would be fine. But we just need to ask our question: will he? And see what happens.
Well, that's one of the issues. There is that the signal architecture field is all about teleological thinking, which is really the only way to do it is to sneak the presumption into the conclusion. This looks designed, therefore designed, which yeah, it's not a great way to think about things. That's why biologists and engineers generally try to reject teleology when they're interdisciplinary experts. But you have some that embrace it. Like, I'm not surprised most of them are creationist types. Cy Gart, for instance, he accepts the teleology thing, which is mind-blowing to me. His whole last book was about teleology, which is like, oh, okay.
Cy is getting so much worse. He's as he gets older. Anyway, this guy claims to be a biophysicist and worked in computational biology, and that doesn't match with working on signal processors. I don't know what the hell. Unless they're talking about
I studied
maybe
biophysics in college previously, and I don't know what.
Maybe he worked on hearing aids or something, signal processors for hearing aids. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I worked on signal processors a long time ago. Anyway, okay, so now and then this last part on this video.
Oh, that's right.
I'm putting
you're like a tech company founder, aren't you, Mike?
Well, I had a software company a long time ago, back about the same time Apple and Microsoft came up. But
the
guy
I'm having on my channel tomorrow, he's one too.
Computer consultant. Is he younger than me? Is he younger than me? A lot younger?
Yeah. I think he's like in his 30s or something. I didn't ask his particular age.
Yeah.
He retired young.
The first Microsoft microcomputer I worked on was 1 megahertz with 64K of RAM, 64,000 bytes of RAM. Inside 8080 processor. Yes.
I have Word documents that have more.
I know. I started in the beginning. Anyway, okay. Let's listen to this guy. Listen to this part carefully.
Lightly. It's ridiculous. The paper is a joke. This is phony science. In spite of the high claims that they make in the paper, in spite of the fact that it was peer reviewed, the two peer reviewers should have caught this, it's not even catching it. It's just like, no, this doesn't work. This is not science. It shouldn't have been published in a leading journal that it was, the Proceedings of the PNAS journal. So unfortunately, when you have evolutionists writing papers that show that evolution works, the bar is very low. Religion drives science, and it matters.
The problem with all that is he's written papers, but he has a Google Drive link to his papers because no one, not even the creationists, have published them, apparently. So he might be just a little bit butthurt over that. I'm not sure.
So he counts what's in his
religion drives science. Get out of here.
So he counts what's in his folder as a paper.
On his video for the paper, his YouTube video, he has a link to a document. Let's see, I have it here, and you can download a PDF. So they're evolutionary predictions, and let's see if I can find my cursor. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh, it's on the left. He has 25 failed predictions of evolution, and so he's got a Google link to it. So, serious. It's pretty bad. The whole thing is pretty bad. There's an interesting one here. Biology is not lineage specific. Molecular clock. Gene and host phylogenies are congruent. Where the hell is it? Structures do not evolve before there's a need. Just a bunch of bullshit is what this is. It's really bad. Anyway, let's see. Okay, let's go to the next one.
I'm still stuck on the religion drive science. Like, I don't want to be rude, but silly little boy. What are you talking about? Religion drive? What? Religion is a dogmatic thing where you read an ancient book. And well, usually they're ancient. Sometimes they're written by L. Ron Hubbard. But you read this book and you're like, everything in here is true. This book is the answer to all the questions in the universe. And then you just ignore all evidence to the contrary for the rest of forever. That's how religion works. Science is a method where you propose solutions and possible, answers to questions that we still have in our study of how to understand the universe better and use that understanding to improve human existence. I don't know what the. Sorry, I'm coming up short on. The way you talked about it earlier, Mike, about how tiring it is to bend over so low for such low-hanging fruit. It's so true. It's
Well,
exhausting.
to be
exhaust me.
To inquire, what's the word? Just to be fair about it, how does he define religion?
Yeah. Whatever
his definition of religion, does he anywhere at all define it as religion? Because if he's saying I don't like the conclusion, therefore not science, that's religion, that's stupid. That's just stupid.
Yep. So Top Dog did a ChatGPT summary of this talk that Rebekah had today, which I'm quite impressed with. And the core argument, evolution and theology are intertwined. So the upshot is that he says basically we're Protestants. That's why we believe in evolution, because we're not Catholics, and we rely on the God wouldn't do it this way argument. Apparently, he thinks. So somehow he thinks that 17th and 18th century thinking is affecting me and you, Austin, today, and what we think about biology. And so the first hour of this video, he lays out this long history of Darwin and all the guys and how they had to reject miracles because they wanted to reject the Catholic Church. So they had to reject miracles, and that's how the Protestants came up with, and that's how theological, what is it called? Theological evolution.
This is a very interesting way of characterizing the scientific revolution, where we decided that spiritualistic methods and solutions like drilling holes into people's heads to let the bad spirits out were kind of, silly and not very good.
Right.
It's what? Like, no, it wasn't about rejecting miracles. It was about rejecting bad methods that were based on spectral evidence. Like, my
exactly.
God, it's only coincidental that creationism is part of that, but it's not about rejecting that specifically. Anyways, methodological naturalism. Yeah.
So he's making this claim. God wouldn't have done it that way. And that's a theological claim, he says. So we're theologists. We're using theology to defend evolution, apparently.
I guess
in the 21st century.
I guess you can use theology to defend evolution. I think there are theologians that have done that before, and some of them are big boys like Aquinas and Augustine and Clemens and Didymus and Irenaeus and Saint Justin Martyr and Origen and Philo of Alexandria and Maimonides and Gersonides and like 12 other idieses, like D's nutsides. But
these nutsities. I read these nutsities.
Like, I think Augustine specifically said something along the lines, and this might not be exactly verbatim, but it's close, which was there are those who believe that only the world/universe was created by God and everything else was created by the world/universe. by and according to his divine ordination. So kind of like a theistic evolution type thing. And we're talking about, again, Augustine, a saint, a theistic scholar. Like, I guess there is a theology around evolution, but that's not what scientists are using. Theologists talk about that. Like, I don't think Augustine ever took a science class, as far as I know. I don't think science existed when he was alive. He wasn't a naturalist or any sort of scientist. He was a theologian. But no, I wouldn't call evolutionists theologists in general. They can study theology. They can make theological arguments like I can, like the theistic evolution argument.
Yeah. Okay. Hunter contends that those theological roots go back centuries before Darwin. By the time Darwin formulated his ideas, several key theological traditions, whatever, and so that's kind of the upshot. And I don't know how that applies to me, because I could give a rat's ass about anything before 1970. I have no idea who Darwin is. I don't give a shit about Darwin. I do not give a shit about any of these people in the 19th century. I really don't care. And it has nothing to do with why I accept evolution. So I don't know how he thinks that I'm a Protestant and somehow I'm using theological arguments to defend evolution. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway,
I think Darwin is really important to evolution. If I can mildly and gently disagree with you right there, I think
that's fine. Yeah.
Mutation and selection.
I'll just remove you.
If I can continue to defend my viewpoint before you condemn me to the exile. Mutation and selection, the two things that he were like, this is what evolution is. We still kind of think that, like, that's the crux of the modern synthesis and extended synthesis debate. But I think the modern synthesis is still winning it by far, right? Like, and so in that way, Darwin was very important. Before Darwin, there was this big debate about how randomness couldn't create order. It couldn't create new body forms, which is an argument creationists still use. The answer, of course, is natural selection, which isn't random. So in that way, Darwin was very essential to evolution, but he is still just one scientist that has helped create and refine our model. And there were people before Darwin who were not species fixity types at all. Some of them were, like, I think Aristotle was a species fixity type. I know Carl Linnaeus was when he started doing taxonomy, but near the end of it, he was like, yeah, humans and apes have common ancestry, and was very ambivalent about species fixity because he couldn't find any colleagues that could give him a reason not to taxonomize them as apes. And so there were lots of, like, Lamarck, for instance, obviously, famously not a species fixity type. There was even one all the way back in ancient Greece, some guy named Anaximander, who wasn't a species fixity type. He thought species changed because he didn't think there was any way human infants could survive in the brutality of nature. So he thought we had to come from a more brute, primal species. Those are all, words he used, but they're a little anthropocentric and, maybe not the best choice of language. But yeah. So there was kind of a debate of species fixity versus species changing. And it was based largely around the idea that you couldn't get new stuff from randomness. But then Darwin was like, no, it's not random. The mutations are random, and people could see the mutations beforehand. But what selects the mutations is not random. Survival and reproduction, causes a mechanistic effect. Anyways, I hope we all know that. That's kind of evolutionary basics.
I would not criticize Anaximander very much for his choice of language, since he lived like in the 7th century BC or something like that.
Right.
So guys, I am a Y-E-E, young Earth evolutionist. I don't believe in anything before 1970. So, young Earth evolutionist. So,
all right. I think you just like
Yee.
saying "ye," Mike.
Yee. Yay. Okay. Anyway, let's see examples. Blah blah blah. I don't know what's any of this. From what I see in his writings, Hunter's broader point is that recognizing the theological foundations of evolution is essential. In other words, we have to admit it's a religion before we can talk to him. Not necessarily to reject evolution, but to understand that scientific interpretation doesn't occur in a vacuum. So he's like one of these, what is that, postmodernism, where he thinks culture, basically drives our science, that sort of thing. And it's all going to change later on, that kind of crap, which has just been shat upon recently a lot. Anyway.
Creationists have been saying that science is going to change and it's going to realize creationism is valid sometime next week.
I know. Well,
for decades and decades and decades. There's a list of people who have died saying that science will reverse itself and figure out creationism is valid any day.
I watched a video from 2024, and they said that 2024 was the year that evolution was proved false.
Yeah,
right? And I'm guessing that I'll watch one from 2023, and they'll say the same thing.
Jim Bob said it was going to be done by 2027. I have a reminder set in my calendar.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. I have to go take care of an errand real quick.
It's harder to get people to forget your predictions with the advent of iPhones and computerized calendars.
Yep. Ye is a better word than you. Better word that you. Okay. Ye? What? Ye? I don't know what skeptic philosophy is saying. Okay. We're back to the video. What do you think? Ready to roll?
All that beautiful bean footage.
Okay. We'll see what we got. I don't know.
This
is okay. Let me give you some history here. Did we? Yeah, we did. Yeah, he must have. He said he had to run an errand. I'm not sure.
Okay. You think we can keep this going for 20 more minutes? Because that's when he said he'd be back.
I don't know. It's going to be hard.
Let's do it.
We're losing. We're losing. We only have like 8 people watching. Dave would have had like 45 by now.
But that's high quality people.
High quality people. That's true. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Okay, I'm going to roll this. Oh, some history. The multiverse thing was a paragraph that Eugene Koonin put in his book. I can't remember the book name, but I have it on the shelf somewhere. And he does a real long book on basically speculating about, how things evolved. And he has, it's a really good book. And then he goes crazy for one paragraph where he says, well, this is just so complicated. Maybe the multiverse is, going to save it, right? And that's the history of it. And I think that was like 15, 20 years ago or something like that.
Was that book The Logic of Chance?
Yes, that's it. Logic of Chance, okay. Yes. What's the date on that? Do you have the date on that?
2011.
Okay, so that's 14 years ago, I think. Is that, or no? Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay.
And doesn't he just mention that among other types of things that could make the probabilistic nature of evolution possible?
Yeah, it's a long, deep book. So anyway,
thinking about Epicureanism or evolution, maybe he was thinking about the Epicureans, but it applies so well, right? It applies so well to what we were seeing in evolutionary theory. So yes. I think of the multiverse as that appeal that Koonin made as theological because way underneath all of this are these theological underpinnings that he's probably not even aware of. There's another problem to point out, and that is when you appeal to the multiverse to make a low probability event happen, what are you doing? You are opening up science to anything happening. So now you're making science a ridiculous, foolish project where anything can and must happen. So, So I just want to point out
that Sal Cordova, in a recent appearance on Rebekah's channel, said about 5 or 6 times that God can do anything. That basically, whatever you see in the genome, God did it because God can do it any way he wants. So if you see a mutation, it's not a mutation. God did it because God can do anything. He's saying that evolutionists are doing this. I think he doth project too much.
Yeah. Of course, you're talking about Eugene Koonin mentioning the multiverse in one paragraph. I know there are physicists, cosmologists that talk about multiverse and things like that. But is this guy criticizing cosmology, or is he criticizing evolution? What's he actually addressing? If he's
saying
addressing
that
evolution doesn't really have anything to say about multiverses.
He's saying that somehow in 2011, Koonin in his book proved that evolution was impossible unless the multiverse. And so he's claiming that everybody uses the multiverse to explain evolution. And I think he ought to talk to more people.
The multiverse to explain evolution.
There might be 1 or 2 out there that still think that might be a thing. But anyway, so yeah. And this goes off to my next bookmark, I think. 1307, that's another problem.
If I take this pen here and let go of it and it doesn't fall, but it starts to float around, I don't say, oh, wait a minute, what's going on with physics? Something must be weird. I don't say that. I say, oh, must be this multiverse thing. Because in all the worlds, all the gin joints and all the bars, there's one time where the air pressure just happens to build up underneath my pen and keeps it there floating. It's the multiverse. What do you know? And so science is now ridiculous. It's now vulnerable to any kind of explanation, anytime, and anything goes. There's no longer is it a project to explain how creation works. How does creation work? How does nature work? How does this work? What is physics? What is gravity? No, it's
what the hell does he?
Well, and that brings me to ask you, because, and for those who are not familiar,
what the hell does he think evolutionary scientists do all day? That we just say, oh no, it's a multiverse. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to run these experiments because it's a multiverse. We just got it all figured out. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, he's ranting feverishly about a scenario that exists only in his imagination.
Yeah. Oh, I got to keep up on chat here.
But he's also, like you said, projecting, just like Sal says, well, God can do anything. That doesn't mean anything. God could do what he wants to do. Therefore, I don't need science, even though he wants to be an expert in science and be lauded by the sciences. That's what he's doing with this multiverse thing. He's projecting on us there God can do anything. They're just trying to say that people who think there's a multiverse, and he's assuming that it's everybody, is saying that the multiverse can do anything. But that's not what we're saying about evolution. I believe that evolutionary scientists, they propose mechanisms for how things happen in the natural world, the physical world. Natural world, I don't like that word. The physical world that are responsible for evolution. They at least propose real world mechanistic things. You'll have to do some research, or somebody will have to do some research to show me where multiverse has ever been a solution to a question in evolutionary biology.
In that one paragraph that Koonin wrote when he was drunk one night, when he was trying to finish his book up. So I think he was drinking. He's the only one. Anyway, okay.
There needs to be a literature search to find all those other multiverse believing evolutionary biologists, because I think you'll just find that the field is limited to one.
Yeah. Okay.
like familiar with Cornelius Hunter. He has one of my favorite YouTube channels. It's called Darwin's God. So if you want to hear more from him, I highly recommend this. But you end your videos on Darwin's God with saying, religion drives science and it matters. So I want to know, why does this matter? What is the effect that you're seeing on?
You want to bet we're going to hear about Hitler and eugenics?
It's very possible.
Education on the just like general.
Because
I'm stepping away, but I'm
origins,
listening.
I
But
do
I'm going to step away for a minute.
Okay.
is really, really important. I think origins is crucial. I think it drives, it's foundational to everything else. And so when you have the Epicureanism or evolutionary ideas that the world arose by chance and you arose by chance, and we're all just chance products of blind natural laws, that has a profound impact on how people think. And it takes years. This is a long-term project. It takes decades. It takes centuries for this to sink into the culture, but it does sink in. And so you have things like eugenics. Darwin's half cousin came up with, this modern father of modern eugenics. We need to clean up the gene pool. People are suddenly, genetic machines that we need to monitor, and sterilization, forced sterilization in the United States of America, institutionalization of people, clearly racist, clearly ridiculous, being done by evolutionists. Evolutionists.
There was no racism before Darwin. So, it didn't exist. And no tribalism either before Darwin, according to this guy.
For forcing sterilization in the United States. The Supreme Court agreed. Now you say, wait a minute, this is not evolutionist. Yes, it was evolutionist. No, it wasn't a scientist. It wasn't a life science professor at a university, but it came from that. These were people who believed in evolution.
Okay, this thing about origins mattering to the average person on the street, the average person growing up on the last 2 million years, no, that isn't how you live your life. You don't sit around and think, where did I come from? Oh, if I came from there, then I should feel this way and I should do this. Isn't how people work. And racism, eugenics, and all that bullshit that happened in the olden days, okay, still happening today, unfortunately, but all of that stuff was not a result of evolution. It was a result of the kind of person that was doing that kind of thinking, right? They were racist before they ever thought about evolution or ever used evolution as an excuse. And Hitler was a motherfucker before he ever, if he did, use evolution to promote his ideas.
And he was a motherfucker who believed in God as well.
Right.
He was not an atheist. So
yeah. So I mean, like, believing in the science does not change what kind of a motherfucker you are.
So therefore, I agree with Dr. Hunter. Religion is bad.
Yes, it is. Well, he says as much later on. Oh no, I think he, how does he put it? I don't know. We'll get to it anyway.
You have abortion. You have euthanasia. You have the Holocaust.
All from evolution.
The Germans took this very seriously. Nietzsche made the conclusions that Adam Sedgwick feared. Sedgwick was a contemporary of Darwin. He was a...
Yeah, it's just much bullshit here. Let's see. Let's go to 118 and see what happens there. 118. Here we go. 118.10, 118.30. Okay.
Like, men competing in women's sports, that's just, fine. And, all
oh my God. I didn't catch that part. He went there too. I want to point something out. In Minnesota, we had a tragic shooting that for some reason got more national attention than school shootings usually do. Because I don't know. But anyway, Fox News is calling this person a trans killer. It's just like, why, Fox News? Why are you doing that? It's like, killer, yes. Anyway, so he went there.
So what it causes is a rift in our society, because you get these people pursuing absurd ideas and then other people resisting that. And so you have this tribalism and divisiveness. And I do think this all goes back to origins. I realize that,
Tribalism wasn't a thing in humans before Darwin wrote Origins, is what he's claiming. What do you think of that?
Yeah, he's very muddled and confused in what he's saying. I don't get what he's saying. Origins matter. Okay, yeah, things have a history, and a lot of people love history, but the history of tribalism goes way back. So I just don't understand. He's just kind of shooting out tropes, hoping the audience receives it well, I guess.
Yeah.
That's all I can figure he's doing, because none of this fits together very well. It's a bit cloudy and incoherent.
I'm convinced that he really thinks that he has some genius here, and he has come up with a idea that nobody else has about why evolution is a religion. That he really believes his own stuff, and he is so.
Why
blinkered.
Evolution is a religion is a topic a lot of these creationists and fundamentalists like to talk about. So I do believe he thinks his is unique, but in the backdrop of all the others, it's not unique at all. It's just another effing theory about why evolution bad.
Yeah. And so what if it is a religion? Religion is like a horrible thing to him? I don't think so.
Yeah. And also, if he would research well the question, perhaps he did in his book or something, one of his books or something, has he gone and done a literature search for people who actually have evolution as their religion?
I don't know. I think I could. I mean, I could make a religion out of it, but that would be because, first of all, I'm convinced of evolution. I accept it. And therefore, I could turn it into like a personal religion. But the religion part would come afterwards. The science part is
there's a component of religion or the religious experience that I think evolution can help facilitate.
Oh, yeah.
People. And that's the sense of awe and wonder, existential terror, because the God of the Bible is also supposed to fill you with terror and dread at how small and inconsequential and dependent you are. But when you understand what's been affirmed and found to be in evidence in natural science or cosmology, you become very in awe of nature, or appreciative of nature from the large, God's eye view perspective, or from the close in microscopic perspective. All of that fills you with a sense of awe and wonder. You don't need God for it. You just need to feel the awe and the wonder. So religion and evolution do have that in common. It's just that you don't need a God in order to have that awe and wonder.
Oh, what do we got here? Hybrid animals. Okay.
Just trying to show that you can have two different species, and then they could, if they're close enough, they can still reproduce.
Yep, if the chromosomes match up enough. Yeah.
But why are they two different species if the evolution isn't true?
I don't know. Okay.
Because it is.
Yeah, it is.
Going back farther in time, most people think of the tribalism as occurring in the last few years, the last 10 years.
Really?
But I think
what
you saw things happen.
Okay, Scott, what do you think? Tribalism was just most people think it's in the last few years. Tribalism goes all the way
up. Last few years, yeah.
primates
don't
do
know
it.
where he's coming from. Yeah, he seems just totally oblivious to current events and reality,
Yeah,
history.
it's just
People have been
weird.
tribal, one group against another. Political revolutions, political radicalization has happened on and off throughout history. Maybe he doesn't read history. I don't know.
A lot of other primates are tribal. I mean, and I think raccoons are tribal. I don't know where he got that from. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. That's tribalism, divisiveness. Okay, we're
In
going
the
to
50s and
divisive.
the 60s with our culture, with our society, all building this foundation. And then there's the Inherit the Wind movie, the play, and then the movie based on the Scopes trial. That was all false. This play was historical fiction, most emphasis on fiction, which created this warfare thesis, or not created, but it built on this warfare thesis that there are these religious people who are dumb and the science people who are virtuous and smart. And so you're creating this divisiveness that goes back to Epicureanism and evolution. So I think there's a reason why the Bible starts.
Okay.
Yes, I do understand the tropes he's talking about, but there are a lot of movies and TV shows that have the scientists as these wicked, mad,
evil. Yeah.
People. Whoa, it's alive! So there are also tropes that depict science, and of course, corporate leadership as evil. So what he's saying, he's just picking one little aspect of a broader, more complicated and interwoven culture to basically get on his soapbox about. So once again, this is a guy with an opinion yelling at the kids to get off his lawn.
Yeah, when I was a very little boy, there were tons of science fiction movies about the evils of science, and that was a result of the atom bomb that they dropped on Japan. So, I mean, that started really early. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. It's
what
like
about every monster movie, or let's say every fourth monster movie is about a scientist who lets something loose. He gets too ambitious in what he wants to discover, or he gets too ambitious in the kind of genetic experiment he wants to make. And suddenly you have this monster, hybrid human monster with an alien or something, just running rampant.
The materialist that doesn't believe that there's really a monster out there or whatever.
Yeah, so there are tropes about Christians, there's tropes about non-Christians, there's tropes about scientists, and so on and so forth. But there sure are. Well, never mind. I don't want to go on a tangent. But anyway, it's what the guy's saying is, it's not worth listening to.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, let's see here. Okay.
With creation, right? Genesis, in the beginning, God created. So God created. So that's foundational. It's just foundational to any movement. So, there's this old saying, tell me where you think you came from, and I'll tell you everything else about you. Now, that may be a bit of an overstatement, but not much. Tell me where you think you came from, and I will tell you everything else about you.
An overstatement. I've never heard that thing before. Can we get our viewers to put a 1 if you've heard that before, and a 2 if you've never heard that before?
I think I have. Anyway.
Yeah, put a 1 in the chat if you've never heard that before. Put a 2 in the chat if you have. Of course, there's only a handful of us here, but I've never heard that saying, and it's a stupid saying.
Yeah. Let's see where he goes.
If you think you came from random chance, ultimately, you're going to have a different worldview than someone who, So.
Okay, so having a different worldview from somebody is bad.
Yeah. You'd have a different worldview. Let's see if I think I came from random chance.
You can't tolerate people with a different worldview.
Apparently.
So,
But
talking about origins, maybe his religion is the origin of bigotry.
okay, so my daddy in 1950, he got a little bit tipsy and he had sex with my mama, and I think he launched about 100 million sperms at her, and she had an egg that randomly was in her fallopian tube, and one out of those 100 million sperms, random chance, created me. Therefore, my worldview is that the Holocaust is okay, and I'm tribal, and I want eugenics. That's what he's saying. Okay, because we were all created from random chance when you think about it. I mean, what are the chances that the one sperm that created you got through the gate, hit the egg, right? You ever think about that? Anyway.
Says,
So-
well,
A lot of
yeah.
evolutionists that I talk to will oppose the connection of racism and
Yeah.
eugenics. They will
Yeah.
oppose that and say, look, even though, and even the Holocaust, they will say, even though some people took those ideas and made it that is not evolution at its core. You see,
Right, Rebekah, you got it right. It's not. It has nothing to do with the science.
People
I mean,
have
however the
been
world.
killing people over race or ethnic group or political identity for millennia.
Read the Old Testament.
And there were a few of those millennia that were well, at least one of them, possibly two, done by Christians. So, yeah, of course, we're going to object to
Isn't
that, because evolution came along long after people were racist and genocidal.
now I know beans about the Bible, but wasn't the whole thing that the Israelites were like this chosen race and they had to go kill all these other people? I mean, wasn't that the whole Old Testament? That
Yes, there were.
Israel.
They had to go in and wipe out the Amalekites and kill all the men and the women who have known men, and keep all the virgins for their sex slaves and forced marriages.
So were they evolutionists?
Apparently so, because they killed over race.
Yes, I am. Let's. Could you put the link out there for me, Scott?
Link to what?
To the stream.
This? Okay.
Stream link. Yeah. Throw it up there. Skeptic Philosophy wants to come in. I'm playing with my cat. Okay, I'm gonna go on and play a little more here.
we are so enlightened and we still see the value in people, and we're not like those bad people that took evolution
Exactly.
to that
We're not. Yes.
extreme. So
You got
what's
it.
your response to that?
Yeah, and if you are operating under the deception that evolution is a scientific theory, and there's this mountain of scientific evidence, then yeah, that's what you would say. And so
I guess he got me there, because I agree with both those things. Mountain of evidence.
Is a scientific theory. It has a whole
It's a
bunch of
scientific
other
theory.
scientific theories supporting it, as well as hypotheses and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, a lot more evidence, a lot more facts behind it than your Christian philosophy.
Hey, Skeptic Philosophy. Did I add you properly, or did Scott added you too?
How's it going?
It's going good.
Hello,
What's
Mr.
up?
Skeptic.
What do you think of this guy?
The joke.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's an interesting
Hey,
joke.
He is. What's just getting to me is I don't understand how any of this has to do with whether the truth claim has value or not. I mean, even if all of this was true and believing in evolution made people demonic and made them all of these different things, it still has nothing to do with whether it's true or not. Has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Well, he absolutely thinks that it's false, and we all know it, and we're just hiding from the truth. And he says that for the rest of this video. They basically were hiding from the truth because he knows that it's false because he figured it out somehow. Mr. Biophysicist or whatever the hell he is.
I swear every time I come on one of these lately, I'm eating food. I'm not always eating food, I swear.
I can't watch you because that's one of that makes me crazy. It's a good thing.
I'm finished.
It's a good thing you're small. People eating on Zoom and stuff like that, I have to put them on the bottom and then I scroll them down off the screen because I don't want to, I don't want to be contentious and tell them to knock it the fuck off. But it drives me crazy.
It is about that time of day for me, though. It's right at dinner, and so I'm just finishing up.
I have a porchetta. I'm gonna go heat it up and make a sandwich later. Oh no, I can't think like that or I'll end the stream.
Whose dog has been pawing the floor constantly? I hear a dog like sliding back and forward on a hardwood floor, I swear.
Probably my dog.
Okay.
I can't get close enough to it to clip its nails without it just pitching a fit. And
Well,
so,
are you hearing?
they
Is
do
this
tend
what
to
you're
grow.
hearing? Is that it?
I hear the little bell, but no. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm playing with my cat.
It's not distracting or anything.
I gotta play with my cat or he'll rip my leg off if I don't play with him constantly. So who do we got? Oh, Austin's what? Okay, I'm gonna let you do it, Scott. I'm gonna let you do the adding to the stage, okay? No.
All right.
Scott's not doing it. Okay.
Sorry, my cat accidentally bumped into me and made me push the back button. My bad.
Okay. Let's see what else Scott's got.
I'm sympathetic to that. Those people are operating under a deception. They're not reckoning with their own belief system. It's like someone in a cult who doesn't understand that they're in a cult and doesn't understand the history of the cult.
Projection.
Oh my God. It's like enough projection to open up a drive-in movie theater.
Yeah.
I wonder if this guy even knows the name Ellen G. White.
I don't. What is that?
She's the Seventh-day Adventist who pretty much invented the modern version of creationism that most creationists use without even knowing who she was. Except
Really?
the fact that her version of creationism included a ton of other planets that all had life on them that were created by God. That was how she compensated for the flat Earth problem.
Oh, he talks about that a little earlier about the idea that God made life on all these other planets.
Yeah.
So Ellen
White classic. If you look her up, you'll probably recognize her picture. You've probably seen her on like some Seventh-day Adventist Facebook profile.
Okay, is she from before 1970?
Oh yeah.
Well, then I don't believe it.
You don't care about it. I'm sorry. I forgot. Silly me. I forgot about that. My bad.
I don't believe in her. I'm a ye. Okay.
And that's a very real example. I mean, that's how cults work. They fool their people, and they think that, oh yeah, I'm just in this religion.
That's
here.
what evolution is.
Man, oh yeah, dude, this cult has
so
totally fooled me by publishing all of their data openly for peer review and asking the whole world to come in and prove them wrong to find some data that they can repeat that proves their man. That was really convincing of that cult to do that. That was diabolical. It was a
I want to compliment Dr. Hunter. I want to compliment Dr. Hunter on being so efficient. He just proved he was a dumbass in the fields of cults and evolution. All at once. Because cults are serious business. They ruin people. They
100%.
ruin people's minds. And there's a process by which they do it, none of which accepting an evolutionary theory puts you through.
Yeah.
Because of the
accepting evolutionary theory has vastly improved my life. I'm 60% of my way onto another science degree, and I've learned how to, look at history in a way that most people will never be able to see, which is that very battle between whether or not species fixity was true. And then we finally discovered the data that said it wasn't. And most of the world has accepted it, except like 5% of religious zealots, these really crazy, hardcore fundamentalist people. And they're like the exact same people who would have been screaming outside of Galileo's home in his time when he was refuting geocentrism. There's literally no difference. And them calling evolutionary science a cult is just 500,000,000% projection. It's pure projection.
Well, hold on now. If we ever get evolutionists like drinking the Kool-Aid like the Jones gentleman, then we'll at least have some precedent and we could call it a cult at that point.
Right, yeah.
But until that happens, I think cults rest solely inside of the religious domain.
100%. Yeah. That is a fantastic point. And another good point is the fact that evolution could have been thrown out many times. We know that because we already did throw out a version of evolution, Lamarckism. We already said Lamarckism was wrong, and we were like, we need to remodel this. If we had found data that didn't support evolution, we would have thrown it out already. And there were several opportunities for that to happen. If when we had looked into the fossil records, we had seen nothing but modern organisms, no matter how deep you went, and you definitely never saw anything like an entirely different array of organisms from what we have now, then we might have had to throw evolution out. We might have had to say, nope, there's no evidence of change here. But of course, that's not what we found. And what we found, coincidentally, does totally refute the idea that all species were created simultaneously. So there goes young Earth creationism, where it was literally 6 days. No freaking way. That couldn't have possibly happened. Get day-age gap? Okay, maybe. But then you're already an evolutionist pretty much at that point. And then you have to deal with the problem of how to taxonomize humans, which is exactly what Carl Linnaeus's problem was. It's such an obvious thing that it's so easy for so many theists and Christians to just be like, yeah, it's evolution, and still believe in God. And I don't know why creationists like Rebekah and her guest here, Darwin's God, can't do that.
So can somebody tell me how do creationists deal with the distance of the light from stars and whatnot? I mean, how is this really dealt with? I'm not familiar with their method on it.
Light goes a lot faster when it's coming toward us than when it's going away from us, because you can only measure it one way. So they think that it came from that God can make it as fast as he wants, and light could travel faster than the speed of light and get here in an instant. I believe that's what they really do last week.
What I'm talking about is like the distance of the galaxies and whatnot that we're observing, that they're too far. For this, we have to have more time.
An astronomer, I think. I don't even think it's an astrophysicist. I think it's an astronomer. Maybe it's an astrophysicist named Jason Lyle. I think he worked for the Discovery Institute. Yeah. But he came up with that odd theory that the speed of, because you can only measure the speed of light by taking the time it takes for like a light to reflect off a mirror and divide it by 2 or whatever, because that's an average of the speed of light going towards you and the speed of light going away from you back to the mirror.
Right.
So I forget what the protocol is or the standard is, but it's just
we didn't bring any physicists.
Yeah, it's just a little trick that you do. It's a little convention that you do to just basically assume that the speed of light is the average of the going out and coming back.
Do you know how you measure the speed of light? Do you know how to measure the speed of light?
How do you measure the speed of light?
I do it all the time. I turn the flashlight on and I measure how long it takes for the raccoon to scream.
Okay. Okay.
Very scientific.
It's pretty fast.
Sensible. Yeah. You know, if I had a tribe of raccoons living around me, which I probably do, they just never come to my house for food because I never feed them. I never feed them. They never come around.
I tell you why I asked this is because earlier, whenever I was first coming in, he was rambling on about us proposing the multiverse and that there's multiple different universes to try to appeal to. And he acted as if this was breaking some huge law. But if they're doing this with the speed of light and saying, oh, well, but the speed of light travels at different distances than which we can observe just so that we can compensate for how far stars are, then he's breaking a rule that he himself kind of said, oh, yeah,
No.
here's the problem. You can't do this.
A Christian apologist being hypocritical. I
Oh my God.
man.
no way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that is high hypocrisy, right? It's pretty bad. Okay. Anyway. Okay, we're gonna go a little bit further and see what else.
Evolutionists typically today, they don't understand any of this history. They are dogmatic that there's powerful scientific evidence. It's all over the place. Just read your textbooks. It's obvious. And when you do read the textbooks, the G word is never there. It's in between the lines. You have to read carefully. And so the deception is there. But Rebekah, I had a written blog for many years called Darwin's God. I have stopped with that a few years ago. But I had almost a daily article on that for several years. And occasionally I would blog on
before.
Abortion.
I knew I recognized it.
Abortion.
Oh, really?
Yep.
You've seen this?
I've read his blog before. I've had it quoted to me by creationists before. Yeah. I knew it sounded familiar. The whole Darwin's God thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I have about 400 plus textbooks that pertain to evolution.
Right.
And I think I've got about 2,000. All of those are propaganda, cult propaganda, apparently. So I'm thinking about getting rid of my books, giving them away to somebody. But it would take a ton of money to ship it, and I will not pack them up. So I mean, it would be a tough thing. But if somebody showed up with a U-Haul, because I pretty much gone to online reading, but I have to think about it because I love my books. But I have I think 1 year I spent $20,000 on books. So
I have a home library, Mike, that still has a lot of room. So just saying.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Local libraries might take stuff like that, man. Or fair.
They won't.
Yeah.
No, I try. Unfortunately, I have highlights in a lot of the books, which piss people off. But I tried to give my friends books. He had like $5,000 worth of books. We tried giving them to a library. Know what they said to me? We tried giving them to a library that we used to rob books from when we were 13 years old, and they said, "Oh, do you have any fiction? Do you have any true crime books?" Or it's like, no, I have an encyclopedia of philosophy, anyway, neuroscience books, but no, I don't have any true crime. Exactly. Anyway, okay,
so this
I'm gonna go
seems to be saying that you cannot make any kind of claim with metaphysical implications or premises without being religious.
Pretty much, Scott. That seems like it.
Complete bull. And of course, Rebekah would take him seriously. I shouldn't be surprised by that because he's telling her exactly what she wants to hear.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is complete garbage.
Yeah.
Because
the religion of mathematics.
I accept
the religion of mathematics. Yeah.
I accept evolution. And I'm not a believer. I'm not a theist. I don't believe in a God. I don't have a religion.
Now this is,
and so it just defies reality. I would really rather see his research, his sociological research, and have him find people who believe in evolution and are atheists who are religious. What he's going to find is people who accept evolution, but they're Christians, or they're Buddhists, or they're Hindus, or Taoists, or any other of some other fine religions that to me aren't based in reality. They're fine. You know, they're okay, but he's not going to be able to support what he's saying, except for the fact that he wants to just shit on evolution. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that word. Shite. You shouldn't shite.
So this guy, he has very inconsistent standards, because he's both said that evolution is a dogmatic religion and that people don't know evolution very well, which isn't very fitting of a dogmatic religion. If you are in a dogmatic religion, you're reading the scripture of that religion every day. You know the ins and outs. You know every prophet's name. You know all that stuff. So he's making inconsistent statements. At the same time, I can see almost why and exactly how this guy views the world. He views the world in a very slanted way to support his own viewpoint, and the way that how he sees it, he thinks it works like this. I wake up in the morning and I go and I pray to Charles Darwin for 30 minutes to make sure Darwin knows that I love him and that I always trust his conclusions about the universe, no matter what the evidence tells me. And then I go and I do my morning evolution breakfast, where I think about how all of this is just from natural forces and I don't have to thank any of these animals for giving up their lives to feed me. Then I go and I clock into my job at work, where I'm just an ape running around, and oh my God, I'm just an ape. What's the point of living?
And you're gonna die. You're gonna die.
I have my daily evolution existential breakdown, and then I calm myself by reminding myself that evolution is true and natural processes over time produce new species. This is how propagandized people like this are. They view their intellectual opposition as such a convoluted, obscure, ridiculous straw man of what evolution and science actually are. It's difficult to even establish means of communication, because they're already dismissing you as this big brainwashed cult member.
Yeah. Okay, so now we got another part here coming up, and I forget. Let's see, what is it called?
Hey,
powerful.
Somebody's making claim to your books. There, Mike.
Oh yeah, I know. It's midnight. Midnight is, but Sophia, whatever. That's midnight. Where is my cursor? Damn it! I have too much monitor. Oh, there. No, I don't know where it is. This is bizarre. Oh my God. My cursor has disappeared.
You lose
guys.
everything. You lost your cursor now?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
I lost my cursor.
While you're searching for your cursor, I guess I'll ask the audience, is anybody interested in watching a day in the life of an evolutionist parody video where I parody exactly that viewpoint?
That might
Not
be,
really.
yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
I found my cursor.
Oh, there
it's, it's right here. It's over there on the left. It's in the left 40. So anyway, okay.
It's not just Darwin and evolution, but in our time, in the last couple of centuries, it's mostly evolution and Darwin having these influences, and it's crystal clear. You can't deny that evolution, these ideas have consequences, and the ideas are theological, metaphysical ideas. Those are the powerful evidence. Those are the powerful ideas.
No.
Empirical ideas
are
about
not,
science.
These are not theological ideas. The evolution itself is not theological. People come up with theological ideas about evolution, but evolution is empiricism based. It's based on a model that is supported with data that fits the model. That is not theological. That is scientific, methodological naturalism, and empiricism based. So I just...
He claims that's not true.
Yeah. I mean, you made the point really well of that by this logic, math is a religion, because people can say that math looks like it's evidence of God. Math makes sense because of God. Therefore, math is now a religion. Literally everything can be a religion. under this. And one of the rules of linguistics is when your word can mean basically anything, that means it means basically nothing.
Well,
It's
I just
pretty
said that about
useless.
mathematics because Mike mentioned that everything, he categorized everything as religion that's metaphysical.
Yeah.
So when you think about things like mathematics in terms of non-physical,
That's
truths,
metaphysical.
that is a metaphysical thing. Okay, well then therefore mathematics is now a religion,
And that's
it's a lot of definitional problems with him. He uses the term like dogma.
What you said is an even more sophisticated point than what this guy is making. His point is some ridiculous trickery where if you can make a theological claim about a subject, therefore the subject is theological. Theology is not about understanding our world. Theology is about understanding this concept that, as far as we can tell, humans came up with, called deities. And so you can make theological claims about anything. That does not make everything theological. It's such a bizarre, I think it's meant to confuse the people who listen to it more than make sense.
Yep. He's going to make a claim here, I think.
They're not usually that powerful. They're not going to sway people to go to war. They're not going to sway people to pray. They're not going to sway people to do these things. It's the religious ideas that are powerful, and that's what's going on with evolution. It's a religious idea. It is based on religious ideas, and so for people today to say, no, it has nothing to do with it. No, it does have something to do with it.
So he just said that religious ideas are what causes people to go to war. And then he's claiming evolution is one of those ideas. Well, what about Christianity?
It's kind of funny to see, but I was having the same reaction that Austin was having. Just that puzzled look, the forehead, and just, he's just ridiculous.
He's all over the place.
Like, that logic is extremely circular. Like,
holy cow.
By that logic, economics is God, because people go to war for economic reasons too.
Yeah.
Money is religion. And there is a socio-political viewpoint where economy, religion, culture are all kind of blended together with politics. They're all kind of the same thing. But I don't think that's what this guy is saying.
Yeah.
Let me play devil's advocate for just a second. Y'all ever look at them people in the eyes and really, like, you see the emotional interaction that's going on between them? Like when you look at Rebekah and all of the nodding, it feels like you're getting here is, yes, this confirms Jesus. Yes, Jesus confirmed. It's something that everything you're grabbing the next step of ladder, everything's like, yes, Jesus, therefore Jesus. And I feel bad for him to some degree. I mean, there's a reason that people latch like this. There's a reason. There's, whether it's they've lost kids or whatever it is, but there's a deeply rooted reason here. And yes, she's rocking and latching on. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I worry about her sometimes.
You'll gravitate towards, okay, so this is true then. And the underlying metaphysics will seep into your worldview more easily, even if you're not cognitive or acknowledging those.
Underlying metaphysics seeping into your worldview is a concern.
Seeping.
Let me talk to you about the underlying metaphysical aspects of God drowning every freaking thing, every baby, every animal except Noah, and two things. Like, come on, dude. Seriously, next level projection. You've got to be
projecting. I think he should have projection written on his forehead.
100%.
And he needs to look in the mirror and say projection.
Yeah. No, I don't think I've ever once been concerned about the fact that I'm an ape. If anything, the fact that I'm an ape is mind-blowing to me. It's super cool, actually. It helps me understand why I'm so good at climbing trees, why I enjoy a good banana, come on. Like, it helps me understand why I'm a tribal animal, why I like social interaction, why I have complicated relationships with other organisms around me, because I'm a highly responsive animal. You
It
know,
helps me
like,
understand why Michael Hastings in gym class had so much hair on his back.
yeah, 100%. It helps you understand a lot of things, and in a
Right.
way that I don't think religion does, but it does activate the jealousies of religious people big time.
Yeah.
Like,
there
I
was-
think a big part of it too is that evolution and, you know, heliocentrism and all these things have major staying power and are for sure going to be around as long as there's intellectual people who care about knowing what the truth is and using it to help people, which hopefully will be the remaining duration of our species. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't look that good, but either way, evolution and, you know, heliocentrism, all that stuff will be around long after Jesus is dead. After Jesus worship is a relic of the past, we'll still be modeling populations and, you know, tracking rocket parabolic curvatures and all that stuff. And it'll be like Jesus who, and that is like major jealousy. I don't blame them for being jealous over that, frankly.
Yep. I was watching a video from I think it's Apologetics 101. They got this whole thing about why we're not apes. And today he had a guy on, an expert, talking about anatomical differences between apes and humans, right? According to him, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not apes. And all he was talking about is the result of bipedalism. So he's talking about the differences in anatomy that a bipedal would have, contrasted with the other primates, the knuckle walkers and all that. And like, wait a minute, what about the similarities in anatomy? Because he showed the thumb and he said, oh, the fingers are longer on the ape. And it's like, well, what about that thumb there?
How about the fact that the finger and every bone, joint, and tendon in the finger are in the exact same,
all the same
place, bro?
Right.
How about that?
Yeah. Yep.
How about the fact that that's true for the rest of the body? That there's a bone, joint, tendon, or muscle in the exact same spot as there is on the human body on a chimpanzee's body. How about that, my guy? How about the fact that Australopithecus afarensis had a more posterior foramen, meaning it was more of a knuckle walker, and modern apes have more of an anterior foramen, meaning it's more forward-facing, meaning they're more of an upright sitter, like how I'm sitting talking to you right now. If it was more posterior, I'd be sitting here talking to you like this, and that wouldn't make much sense now. Or I'd have to bend over like this.
Yeah.
But because my foramen is anterior, I can talk to you upright like that. Like, oh my goodness. I know the channel you're talking about. I actually watched like one or two of their videos, and one of their most recent videos, the expert they had on was Donnie Badinsky. I'm like, expert?
And Matt Naylor. The walking corpse, the breatharium.
I don't know. A little generous there to describe as an expert. He's an expert on creationism, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I call him an expert on science, but anyways.
Can you even be an expert on creationism? I mean, what's there to be an expert about? God did it. God did it. That's what they've been saying for millennia. That's just repeating religious dogma.
Scott, allow me to correct myself. He's an expert on creationist apologetics. My bad.
Well, I mean, if you had a degree in phariology, it'd be the same as theology. You know, I mean, you might be very knowledgeable on it. It's still all a crock of shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, and you said the good foundation is in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And some people will say, well, see, you have a religious foundation too.
Yeah, I think that's religious, don't you?
That's totally religious.
Yeah.
So how can we trust your scientific observations? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, so I'm going by the science, and I'm looking at the scientific evidence, the empirical scientific evidence. I'm not saying the Bible says this or the Bible says that. I'm simply using Genesis 1 as an example of how important origins is. That why would the Bible start that way? So the Bible is the most influential book ever written, so it's a good role model to see how literature works. But I don't go to the scientific.
I'm not hearing. Am I hearing some bias?
It's a good role model to see how literature works. No, it's literature, but you know how you want to see how literature works? Study literature. That's what you do. The Bible is
read
part
Stephen
of that.
King.
It has been influential because you've had kings and emperors and popes murder people because of following not following it the right way that they want you to, because of what's in John chapter 3 or Romans chapter 1. They'll kill you over that. That's why it's been influential. But just study literature and you'll understand the facts about literature.
If y'all have never read the book that King James wrote and produced himself that came out shortly after the Bible, it's called The Right to Free Monarchy. It is an amazing book to get insight on what's going on inside of King James's head. He uses all these terms like monarchy is that which most resembles divinity, with God being at the top of that monarch, that kings, that they are the head of the nation. And he kind of resembles the kingship to divinity. And said, to rebel against the king is to rebel against God. So the whole ideal is that he first brings the Bible over into English so that it can be more Christians and that more people accept this kind of Christian ideology and Christian way of thinking, and then writes his caveat book along with that. Yes, this is how monarchy works also. And if you rebel against me, your king, this is to rebel against God. So it's a way to quash rebellions. It's a way to gain more control. And it's obvious that, once he drops the book right
now, what sounds more like a cult, that or evolutionary science?
Yeah. So, and you know what? I have been of the opinion for a couple of years now that I think that most organized religions they are the result of what was historically a way for narcissists to collectivize a narcissistic schema. Ancient clerics who thought they were wiser and had better insight into the world and, read all these scriptures and didn't have good empiricist, naturalistic methods and just believed everything they were reading and started to think words themselves were magical and all kinds of stuff, convinced themselves they really did have a direct line to this deity and became very narcissistic, and that they collaboratively created this narcissistic scheme with this hidden ultra narcissist that's kind of like an amalgam of all of them, but they all use as a stand-in in their own evangelizing. And I think that the reason that is the case is because narcissism and religion is very, very similar. It is shockingly similar. In many cases, narcissism is literally a religion where the narcissist is both the devout congregation, the priest of the deity, and the deity itself. Or rather, the different parts of the narcissist are those different things. Like the inert wounded child is the devout believer. The false self is the actual deity. And then all of the schemas that institute the narcissism into the narcissist's life are the priest. But all of it is the narcissist. And on some level, the narcissist knows the delusion is fake. He knows he's really just the wounded child down here who's created this elaborate delusion to take shelter in. And religion seems to me like exactly that. It is an elaborate delusion that people take shelter from reality in, because it's tough to live reality and have people that you care about die and know you're never going to see them again, and it's just done. And religion tells you, hey, guess what? Not actually, you will get to see them again. Just, you have to believe this and never question it. That's the big thing, though. If you ever do question it, you'll lose it. So don't question it, just believe it. And actually, a lot of people don't have as hard of a time swallowing that as you might think they would, especially if the person telling them that is somebody they consider an authority, somebody they consider trustworthy, like their own mom and dad, for instance, or the pastor that's been preaching to them since they were little children. I don't know. And it might be kind of a stretch to make this comparison. It's not exactly true that every religious person is a narcissist, but I just think religious behavior in itself is kind of narcissistic, and it does engender narcissism sometimes.
There is a book that is a small microcosm of everything that you just said. It's a short story called 51 Dragons. And there's a magic word also that's given to the individual that gives him confidence that he can slay dragons. All he has to do is say that word before he goes after the dragons.
Yeah.
And he's given this magic word by the wizards, and he says it before he attacks. And he says Rumpelsnitz, I think, is the magic word that's given to him. And then he can charge and he can't be hurt. And then at the end, he finds out that the word was just a word. It was just like the placebo effect, though those terms aren't used, that it was just a word. There was never any magic to it. And then he loses confidence in it. And he's immediately the 51st dragon, I believe it is the one that kills him.
Yeah.
But he slayed all the dragons before. But it's like a microcosm of everything that you're talking about in this little short story.
You
Very
know
quick
what's
read, by the way.
funny is that reminds me of something I saw in a documentary about Islamic extremism. One of the things that Islamic extremists will tell teenage initiates that they are initiating into their Islamic extremist sect when they're priming them to be suicide bombers is they tell them if they have true faith in God, they'll survive the vest detonating. And a lot of them believe that and go out
Oh
and
my
blow
God.
themselves up thinking that their faith in God will protect them. And that to me is like one of the strongest illustrations that there are definitely devout believers out there who know their God isn't real. Because if
Well,
you
that's why they
actually
handle
believed
snakes
in
in the
God,
snake handling.
there's no way you would do that, because the punishment God is going to give you for doing something like that has got to be like so much more extreme than whatever political clout it's going to win you for convincing this kid to go blow himself up. But I don't think they think that logically too at the same time. I don't know. It's depressed. It seemed like a relevant fact to what you were talking about.
I'm jumping ahead to a part where he makes a claim that, and I hope I got the right part here, but he makes it a little bit earlier, but it's kind of interesting. So listen for a minute or so, and so we can get the idea.
Be another show.
Yeah. Okay. Last question.
But again, the paper is there for anyone who wants to see it on any of my recent YouTube videos. In the description section, you will see
There's
the
a link in my description
to
to
a
it.
gander at it.
Rick says, why do birds share DNA with alligators and turtles?
Great question.
Well, the answer is they don't. They
No,
don't share
no.
the DNA in this sense.
Oh,
Okay, just
my
listen
God.
for a minute. Listen till he gets it out of his
They're
mouth.
identical. They're not identical. There are differences between those DNA. So the whole question is, what exactly do you mean share DNA? One of the claims of evolutionists is that there are these fundamental processes like the DNA structure, the replication of DNA. You see cells divide, and when cells divide, all these cells are dividing. When cells divide, they have to make a copy of the genome. So you have to replicate.
Okay, so he's going to talk about different replication methods in archaea, bacteria, and eukaryotes, and all that. But he's claiming that the genes aren't similar, that they aren't the same, which is really
Sorry, go
bad.
ahead. Yeah, no,
there's
Go ahead.
so I've been working on a few things lately, and let's see if I can let's see, can I put that solo? Okay, so this is a comparison here. Top line is chimp, bottom line is human, and this is chromosome 2. I'm looking at a 5 million character selection between two different genes. And you can see here that these vertical bars mean it's the same as the chimp. And you can see vertical bars everywhere. And this is the first exon. And what you'll notice is that if there is a difference, it's always in the introns or outside of the genes, never inside of the genes. And these are almost, I think it's identical except for one or two characters Oh, there's well, that's not in an exon. Most of this is intron, but then if you go ahead and look at, let's see, go look at Betty. I have a favorite here. Like, okay, look, it's similar for thousands and thousands of bases.
Right.
And then we get to Betty. Okay, now all of a sudden, look, it's not similar. There's all these differences. And if you do this gene chromosome to chromosome comparison, you'll end up with every one of these vertical bars here, or every one of these sections that are white space will be counted as one mutation. So I looked into Betty, and what I found out is that there was a transposon in the chimpanzee lineage that inserted itself. And actually, there's only one or two mutations here, and there's not a whole bunch of them. But anyway, but for the most part, I mean, look at this. They're
and so that is the trend we find, Mike, too, is that when we started off comparing genomes telomere to telomere, we saw that there was a lot of symmetry, as in ATCG, ATCG, exactly the same base pairs in exactly the same order. But as we studied it more, we found out that these genes divide into gene families, just like organisms do. And some of these genes are related to each other, even if it's not immediately apparent when you do these kinds of comparisons. For instance, there's the classic inversion. When instead of ATCG, you end up with GCTA, but it's a direct ancestor of that same gene. Another great one is polyploidy. When you get ATCG, ATCG, and now you have two of the same gene, and one of them can keep doing what the original one did, and it frees the other one up to mutate and possibly develop new functions.
Yeah. So on the right here, you can see kind of a condensed version, and it's really neat because the black areas are all where they match up almost perfectly. And then every now and then you'll find a little white version where there are some differences, and you'll always find them to be in the introns, which are junk DNA.
Yeah.
And introns have to be junk DNA. I have a really good argument for junk DNA that's based on introns and intronic splicing. But you can see I'm scrolling down through just tens of thousands of base pairs. And okay, there's another one. So I spotted another one up here. And I got one named Albert. I didn't name this one, but anyway, you can see that there are some areas that are where something happened and there's a difference. And those will be inversions, or there'll be duplications, or something on that order. But let's go look at Albert. Albert, I did a similar analysis for. I named these guys because I love them.
That's great.
Let's see. Oh, where's Albert?
No. I'm quickly coming to love them too.
Oh no, I couldn't find Albert. Oh no, I haven't. Oh, I didn't finish annotating this. Damn it! Can't show you Albert. Anyway.
Oh,
but
no.
I mean, this is huge. Yeah, I can't show you Albert.
Yeah.
But Albert has a story too, and then
I'm so sorry.
This end part here. This end part here. Here's a big one. I want to name that. I don't know. I think Loki. I don't know.
Loki.
It's pretty. Yeah, Loki. Pretty big difference. But then up here, we're. I mean, it's. I found even counting those areas as multiple mutations, 98.6% identity between this area chromosome 2 and the other one. So
did anybody notice? Did anybody notice how the guy went from these two entities share DNA to the DNA is not exactly alike?
Yes, I too noticed that, Scott.
That was quite the fall. Did you mention it? Did I just totally?
No.
Okay.
I noticed it, but I hadn't brought it up yet. I was hoping to bring it up, but you beat me to the punch. No, you were fine. I've been talking a lot.
That was just irritating me, like a grain of sand in a clam's mouth. It's like this guy. He's equivocating on what's being said, and it just proves. I don't know why the people take this guy seriously.
Yeah, I was going to say that it is a great example of creationist mendacity, because the question was fantastic. The question was, why do birds share DNA with, what was it, crocodiles? And he brought up one other species.
Turtle.
Turtles, yes. Why do
Yeah.
birds share DNA with these organisms? And it's because birds do indeed share a significant portion of their genome with birds, or with turtles and crocodiles, and that's because these are all reptiles, as well as all birds, are dinosaur ancestors. And
Yeah.
birds, especially our dinosaur ancestors, our theropod dinosaur ancestors, because they are still morphologically theropods. And we've been able to get some biomolecule remnants from a few dinosaur fossil species. It's not the same as DNA. It's not the same as blood and soft tissue like creationists say it is, but they are still biomolecules. And you can make biomolecule comparisons of this dinosaur DNA to modern organisms' biomolecules. And guess which modern organism they're the most like, because it isn't crocodiles and it isn't turtles, it's birds. They're most similar to birds, chickens, ravens, corvids. Every kind of bird is more similar to what dinosaur biomolecules we have been able to get than any of the reptiles, modern extant reptiles like tortoises and crocodiles. They're most similar to birds.
So I
And
would like
in
to
that
ask a
way,
question. So it really kind of at the heart of all this is, how do you account for the similarities in genomes, DNA between different species? Why would that be? The evolutionary
That's what he's.
answer is inheritance.
Yes.
Okay, he makes two claims,
Okay.
Scott, that in this video. One claim is that no, they're not similar, and the second claim is that the phylogenies don't exist, that you can't find the phylogenies in the genome. He claims that's been disproven; it doesn't work. And it's like, where the hell did you get that from?
Yeah,
You can't find the phylogenies in the genome. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
you can't. Is he saying you can't predict what something's going to look like based on its genome?
No, he's saying that when you look at all the work we're doing in phylogeny today is based on genetics, right? Yeah. And we find out what's related to what by creating phylogenies in the genome. Like, we'll take one protein and we'll take a look at it across a number of different species, and you create a phylogeny. You take another protein and another phylogeny, and it matches. And there's only a few cases where there are slight differences, and there are reasons for that. But he claims none of that research exists. So apparently he has not read a book since 1970. So
a famous example is something called cytochrome C. It's an important.
That's highly conserved.
It's an important process for how we get energy through food. And yes, it is highly conserved, because if that shit doesn't work, you starve and you effing die. So there is a very strong selection pressure to preserve it, but there's also a strong selection pressure to improve it, because if you are better at absorbing nutrients and food energy, you survive better and thrive better, and you do more banging and more spreading your genetic material into the next generation. That is like the core of evolution. But
So Andrew Cumming asked a question here, and
he's great.
I thought this was interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. Tell us what God would do then, and then we can test the idea. Otherwise, we're just stuck with comparing things to how humans design objects, which is the only known example of design. The only example we have of
I'm so proud of that boy.
is a human. I know. Anyway, but listen to his answer to Andrew. This is really amazing. This took my breath away.
Okay, Andrew Cummings says, tell us what God would do then, and then we can test the idea. Otherwise, we're just stuck with comparing things to how humans design objects, which is the only known example of design.
Yeah, so the interesting point, there's all kinds of people talking about God and what God would and wouldn't do. I want to get agreement that evolution is a failed theory on the science, because usually what you have is, this is a very typical argument, is evolutionists will come at you and say, okay, what's your theory? Wait a minute, what's your theory? Stop complaining about evolution. Let's talk about you. They want to get the light off of evolution. What?
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? You have to agree with him that evolution has failed before he'll tell you how God did it, before he'll give you any of his ideas, right? But he goes on to explain that.
Right now.
What's that?
He's playing dodgeball right now. So I'm
Yeah.
going to dodge that question. You tell me, you admit to me that
Yeah.
evolution is a failed religion. You signed this statement of faith before I'll leave.
Yeah.
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 Now, oh gosh, you said something I wanted to react to, but now I can't remember. Don't ever grow old, Austin.
I'm trying not to, but I feel older every time I watch one of these videos. Anyways, yeah, this was a great question because it speaks to several high-level philosophy issues that creationism has, like the lack of falsifiability, the lack of testability, the lack of, parsimony. We have so many issues here that this question illustrates really well, and I think that's why our friend here, did the little dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge dance around answering it.
I know what I was going to say. Yeah, he basically said they want to avoid by saying, "What's your alternative? What's your alternative?" Yeah. Well, yeah, that is number one. Evolutionary science publishes papers on the topic and books and YouTube videos and documentaries and comment. You know what their position is. And I'm sure in this imaginary discussion he's talking about, the evolutionist has laid out his position. And it's a valid thing to do. It's a valid strategy to say, what's your theory? What's your alternative? What model do you have? And what evidence supports that model? Yes. What's your theory?
The mind-numbing thing that he did here is he said that, evolutionists just want to take the light off evolution and put it back on, does God exist? And he is doing that here. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like projection much again? Yeah. It's like, Jesus Christ. I'm a person who has never had a reason to believe in God. They're going to have to give me something. 100%. I mean, otherwise, yeah. Okay, he goes further.
I'll tell you how God will do it, but you've got to sign this statement saying that evolution is a failed religion and you believe in God. Then we'll tell you.
Yeah, it's bizarre because one of the things this question is demonstrating really well is that, yes, evolutionary science is very successful. Evolutionary science is taught in every major university, every major school, every most successful hospital, every agriculture company, every scientific company that's trying to make money. They all accept evolution because it is the best explanation for the array of species on the planet. It's the best explanation for biodiversity, and therefore it's the best explanation for questions like how to best treat humans medically. So evolution is super duper successful. We not only publish papers, we use it successfully every day in hospitals when we diagnose humans who are suffering by looking at them with 4 levels of organization, as an entire organism, as a colony of cells, as the communities within the colony of cells, and as the genetic material inside of all of it. And the proteins folding is such an important thing that we're trying to figure out, because when they fold wrong, it causes problems. But creationists take that and they make irreducible complexity arguments and they do their whole shtick. But I think the reality is, and it should be mentioned in at least once in every video where we're talking about creationism, that I think every creationist kind of thinks like this to some degree, and the ones that don't stay creationists long, but definitely the most extreme ones do. And that is that they have a presupposed dogmatic conclusion that they will never discard, no matter how much evidence contradicts it, nor how
Right.
well they are shown the evidence contradicts it. In a lot of cases, they're not even going to sincerely question it when they're shown evidence that contradicts it. When they're shown evidence that contradicts it, what they will do is they'll attack the evidence instead. They won't say, maybe my conclusion is wrong. They'll say, this evidence is a lie. This is bad science. This is stupid. This is dumb. These are people who hate God and they want to, they do mind reading. They do other cognitive distortions. They use mental gymnastics to kick the evidence out and continue believing what they already believe, basically. The presupposed dogmatic conclusion. Whereas evidence, or evolution rather, is evidence-based. It's data-based. If we found data that evolution was like, blah, I don't know how to comprehend it, we would have to reformulate evolution, or we would have to, throw it out. The thing is, even if that did happen, which I put the odds of that at like finding somewhere on the planet where an apple falls into the sky for some reason, we don't know, like something that would contradict like the theory of gravity, another theory that's really powerful like evolution is. I put the odds of that are about 0. But even if it did happen, I guarantee it would come from a scientist and not a creationist. It wouldn't come from a YouTube video. It would come from somebody doing at least tens, if not hundreds of thousands of hours of lab work or field work and really subjecting their, methods to the highest level of scrutiny and skepticism and critical thinking possible. It definitely won't be by somebody who's like, I got to save some souls for Jesus by going on YouTube and telling them the evolution is a fake,
A great example of that has already been mentioned, but I just want to reiterate Dr. Dan's video on creation myths
last Thursday. I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, his critique of Robert Stadler. He basically shared his comment thread with Robert Stadler, and he did the same thing. He finally came to a point where he said, "No, nothing you say is going to convince me that that this particular model that they were talking about."
It's last Thursdayism. Basically, they talk about evolution using rescue devices when we come up with a mechanism for why a gene ended up a certain way. So anyway, they come up with, no matter what you have in the genome, no matter what we find, no matter what evidence we find, they claim God just did it that way. Yeah. And so Cordova said 6 times, God can do anything he wants. Yeah. So Dr. Dan realized that he believes in last Thursdayism. Last Thursday, everything was created just the way it is. So all this evidence is bullshit, according to them. And they do it all the time.
Yep. You heard of solipsism, y'all? You familiar with what solipsism is? Because that's a very solipsistic worldview. It's like, how do you falsify something like that? And you can take it to such ridiculous extremes, and there's still no way to falsify it. The universe was invented a millisecond ago, and everything else was just created to convince me that I'm in this crazy universe that looked like it evolved through chemical evolution, and then, expansion and all that stuff. I don't think we
should lose sight of their motivation, though. The problem is, the motivation is that they have a personal relationship, and that door has to be kept open. And for that door to be kept open and that personal relationship be real, and they're not going to really die. They're going to go to heaven. No one that has a religion really has to die. So whether it's reincarnation, whether it's another plane, whether it's Valhalla, whether it's heaven, this is one thing that all religions have in common. They don't really have to die to start with. Yeah. And then they have a personal relationship that is the most important thing. So when we were talking about evolution, all this is really a threat to this personal relationship as far as their mind goes, because if what they believe, if the Bible says this and it's not completely accurate, then that puts all that into question. So this is why they're holding this line. They can fight on the plane of science and on the plane of logic all they want, but we know that it's not the motivation behind it. We know that the motivation is they're afraid of dying. They have loved ones that they want to meet with again in heaven, and all of these other things. So they can put this whole, it's a giant scientific thing, they can put that on the platform all they want, but that's not what any of this is about. It's not what their motivation's about.
100,000% everything you just said. That was a fantastic point. I want to also add that sometimes it's darker and more sinister too, because it's like things
Oh, they
like
want people to suffer.
yes, they believe parts of the Bible that are equally crazy but not in the way of, saying the planet is flat and only 6,000 years old, but saying horrific things like gay people deserve to die, and if your children disrespect God, stone them and beat them until they comply, and all this crazy stuff. And in order to keep believing that stuff and still keep it has to be, this fundamentalist, nothing in there is wrong. And I relate it to it personally because the son of the YEC pastor who indoctrinated me used to beat the crap out of my mom right in front of me. And the whole time he would do it, he would scream Bible verses and scream about
Oh
how
my God.
the Bible says that a man's house is his castle, even though wasn't his fucking house. He didn't even pay any of the mortgage payments. My mom paid all of that. But, and so I can see why somebody like that, they can't admit to any doubt in anything the Bible says. And so evolution denial is an extension of that, because then I'd have to accept I'm a woman beating piece of crap and a child beating piece of crap and all these other things. I'm a homophobic piece of crap. I'm a piece of crap in so many ways.
Right.
And that is very hard for a person to accept. Holding up a mirror to people like that is usually not going to convince them.
Well, it's a
The
personal
better way to
responsibility
convince people is to tell them they can be better, or show them, how things could be better for them. I'm not sure how it can be better for a fundamentalist like that, who's been beating women and hating gay people his whole life, for them to, decide that the Bible can be taken non-literally. And those people are easy to take in by stuff like this.
It's not an accident that the group that we have that denies climate change or that denies anything that's damaging, to the planet, it's a denial of responsibility. It's we don't have to worry about that. That's in someone else's hands, And this actually used to not be the main. It used to not be the main position. And even the Catholic Church, even some of the popes have said, that the planet was given to us. It's our responsibility. We are clerics of it and whatnot. But that's not what we primarily get in evangelical movements and in the anti-evolution movements. We get this, whatever's happening is what God wants. So it removes any personal responsibility of the outcomes. They don't have to worry about it. It's the manifestation of the Jesus take the wheel. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to be concerned with this. Someone else is going to take care of it. Complete denial of responsibility. And this is another door that it keeps open, that they can deny responsibility, keep their relationship. They got to heaven. I mean, just everything's perfect with this idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to summarize. Go ahead. I'm sorry. But there's something
if I wake up after I die, I'm going to be pissed and I'm going to kick somebody's ass.
Yeah.
I look forward to just dying. I mean, I do not want to deal with anything else after this shit, man. I just want to die. It's like, anyway, go ahead, Scott.
Mike, you've earned it.
Back in the
I hope you get the sweet release of death, and it's everything you hope.
Yes. Any minute now. So subscribe to my channel. Okay. Go ahead, Scott.
Subscribe to the channel before Mike passes away, please.
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
I just want to kind of summarize what was kind of my original question quite a while ago. Back in the 19th century, natural scientists, or whatever they called themselves back then, were asking the question, how do animals speciate? Darwin synthesizes all his research and not really in concert with, but kind of parallel to other people, came up with natural selection. That is how they speciate. Soon after, they learned about genetics, and now kind of the question is, the answer is, will they speciate via changes to the genome that come about by different means? Andrew, or the guy before Andrew that they asked the question of, asked, well, why does the animal A share genetic material with animal B? The answer in science is inheritance. Inheriting genes from previous what we call species or previous families, previous orders, from creatures that lived long ago that passed down their genes. The theist here, Mr. Engineer, biophysics, whatever he calls himself, is saying God took his fingers and started sticking them in the placentas and the wombs of different animals and just changing them. And that's why we have species. God's been operating on them all these years and just without us knowing it has been putting them to sleep, changing their genome, and the babies come out different. And of course, I don't know how old this guy thinks that the world is. He thinks it all took place over the last 6,000 years. So even like last century, maybe during, just before the kingdom of Egypt, most of the animals he was done with. That's their explanation, is interference from an invisible, unconfirmed deity that you only identify by faith.
100%, Scott. And not only is it so glaring that like ancient theologians wrote stuff about this, like this was one of the reasons Aquinas wrote about Augustine rather wrote about an evolutionary, they both did, but in different ways. Augustine wrote about an evolutionary universe centuries before the theory of evolution existed. They still were having the species fixity debate back then, and Augustine thought it was kind of unreasonable to see God as this stage magician pulling endless rabbits out of his hat. He thought it was more reasonable to think God pulled one rabbit out of the hat, the magical rabbit known as the universe, and that the universe pulled the rest of the rabbits out of the hats, actually. But, I think assuming the out of the hat method at all is not good methodological naturalism. But if you're going to make an assumption, I think the latter is much more reasonable, where God just has to do one magic trick instead of having to do infinite magic tricks over and over again for the rest of reality. The rest of it just, I don't know. It's trying to apply logic to fairies. So,
because one thing we can observe is changes in the genome. We can induce changes in the genome. We can trace, changes in the genome throughout, history. Where's God? Who's observed God? I don't think anybody. In fact, I think there's a place where the Bible says no one at any time has ever seen God, even though there are other passages that say they have. Okay, so that's a theological thing. It's just that we don't need God to make that explanation, and that explanation fits the data. That is
okay.
all.
He's got more here, and listen to. He sounds a little confused here, but listen to this.
What would God do? Well, so I'm not God, and I don't have a hotline to God, to heaven. So I can't tell you what God would and wouldn't do. It's not, it's a little above my pay grade. But I will say that it would be an interesting discussion, but I don't think anyone should have this discussion until and unless we agree that evolution has failed on the science. You see, if you don't agree that evolution has failed on the science, then you're not arguing in good faith. And I'm not going to argue with somebody or debate or discuss or discourse with someone who is under the deception that evolution is this powerful scientific theory.
This is just fascism. You're bad, you're evil because of what you believe. Therefore, you have to give up what you believe before I explain myself.
Yeah, this is another place where I really lost some respect for this guy.
That's otherizing somebody before you'll. That's just otherizing somebody.
He has an infinite escape in this too, because now he knows that evolution's never going to be given up. It's never going to disappear. So does he ever have to explain his model? Never.
Nope. or God, or his reasons for believing God. So I think he, just
And
a few more
on this-
minutes.
Everything I have to
And so,
say about
I
that
do
is
know this.
a lot less astute and a lot less polite than what you guys said. So I'll leave it to that. It rhymes with things like buck my nutsack, things like that, like suck my balls, that kind of thing.
Suck my balls.
Yeah.
And Rebecca's just nodding her head,
Yeah.
not understanding the complete absurdness of what
Idiocy.
I will
I
not explain-
wonder
I will
if
not
this guy
explain my
thinks
alternate
turnabout
theory to
is
you.
fair play. If I can say to him, fuck you, I don't have to explain shit until you accept that creationism is bullshit, then I'll give you evidence for evolution.
Yeah.
If he would be like, yeah, that's totally reasonable. What a douche. What a goober. Dude.
If we
Scott,
back it
did
up
you
at
come
least
from a
10
religious
seconds,
background?
does Rebecca even look concerned at what she's hearing?
No.
I don't know. I don't know. For the first hour, it looked like she was going to fall asleep. But anyway, Okay, there's more.
Science.
I
I've
think.
looked at. Maybe I'm not an expert at science, but I at least looked
No,
at
you
it
are.
enough. Yeah, I got it. This thing has failed dramatically.
Yeah,
If we
you got
can get that truth in place, then we're equipped. We are equipped for a discourse.
Oh,
Say,
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's think
Just
about
assume
what
I'm
did
right
happen.
first, and then it's no problem for me to explain how I'm right. But you have to accept that I'm right first, and then, no
exactly.
problem. I'll convince you from that. Oh, my God. What are you
You missed
smoking,
the I'm not an
homie?
expert part.
I
but
want
we
some
should
of
have
it.
released this and let go of it. I'm not an
Yeah.
expert in science, but we should at least admit
But
that
I
this
got
isn't
it.
right. I got it figured out.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
It's like you say my theory has completely failed.
Yeah.
Fine. Now, what's your theory? You got to you got to admit you failed. No, I want to hear the alternate theory and how it fits the facts better.
It's not
Come
Mott
on.
and Bailey. There's another name for this type of argument, though. It's something like Mott and Bailey, but it's
Okay.
he definitely pivots.
There probably is a name for it, and I
There
don't
is a
think
name.
this
I
is the
can't
right
think of it.
one. But you know what it reminds me of is a Kafka trap. Are y'all familiar with the concept of a Kafka trap? It comes from a Franz Kafka novel called The Trial or something like that. The basics of a Kafka trap is that no matter how you respond, you lose. If you so in this case, if I say no, I'm not going to admit that. Give me your evidence for creation. Well, you do. I can't convince you because you didn't, comply to the rules. If I say okay, fine, evolution's beat. Oh, evolution's beaten. Another evolutionist converted. We win. Yeah.
Here's an example. You're a liar. No, I'm not. See, that's exactly what a liar would say.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little. Let's see.
Your denial proves your guilt.
I don't know.
You're guilty because you benefit from that.
Okay, did you hear that?
That's guilty. I'm sorry. What?
Did you hear this part?
Think about what did happen. How did the world get here? I don't know, but it's an.
Okay, I bet he hasn't thought 30 seconds about how God did it, about exactly how that worked and how much God did, and the planning that went into mutating that genome, and the crazy planning that went into making us in His image, and then making chimps in our image. I don't fucking know why they did
Creationism isn't about answering questions. It's about halting thought before people get too deep into critical thinking and accidentally unravel their own faith. Because that happens to people constantly, because faith is so easy to unravel. But, those people are all just brainwashed, evolution lunatics. Yeah.
He says he doesn't know, but if you press him, I'm sure he's got the cause down pat.
Yeah.
He doesn't know the function, but he knows that the cause started with God spoke.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I don't know. We could back up or we could quit. I don't know what you guys want to do.
I don't know if you're done with it or you want to go forward. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know if I'm ever going to be done with this guy.
Yeah.
He's a joke. I'm already done with him.
Yeah. He's a piece of work.
Yeah. There's some more.
The bottom
just
of
the story.
With this guy. I mean, we we hit some lows on Dave's channel with SNATA, listening to evolutionists, but this guy's still pretty low. I mean, he's not making a good case. It's just that he's saying what his people want to hear.
Yep. And he's one of the creationists who has ethos, so they're going to slob all over his knob and glaze him and say, "Oh my God, smartest scientist ever, smarter than all the other scientists, the millions of scientists who agree on evolution," like that crazy lunatic Austin Sims.
See, I can't pin you down quite yet, Austin. I don't know what state. I thought Alabama, then I shifted to Florida. Some of the terminologies you keep using, I'm shifting all over to try to pin you down. Now I'm hearing you slob the knob, and I'm like, oh God, now I'm back to like Florida area. Where are you from, man?
Texas.
Texas. Okay, all right.
I am from Texas, but I lived all over the U.S. because I was a Navy brat.
Okay.
You got to
Yeah.
pronounce it
That
right.
makes sense.
It's Texas. Texas.
Textbook.
Okay. There's one more part I want to cover here, and then we can let this go.
Rapid, intelligent, directed adaptation, those evolved. The evolution created those, which is absurd. It does not work under evolutionary theory for many reasons. So evolution becomes insanely complicated and just absurd.
Hit too hard.
And I don't know if it's even falsifiable at this point, because what I've
Here it
noticed is that, you know, whatever might contradict the theory, if we find evidence that would contradict, they just
Honey rabbit,
make a new
Cambrian.
theory to account for it. Do you think that's true?
Exactly. It's called complexity, theory complexity. So you continue to patch a theory. When a theory fails, adherents do not falsify the theory.
Okay. So and she says, "Oh, it's just a story." So things have come up in the genome, right? Like we'll find orphan genes, and we'll find some genes in that are basically in humans and gorillas, but not in chimps.
Yeah.
And if we came from chimps, well, why is that? And there's incomplete, and then we come up with our story, our fix, which is incomplete lineage sorting, right? Which makes perfect sense when you understand it. But what's happening here is that it's a very, very complicated thing. And he goes on here for a couple of minutes talking about how complexity is a problem for the theory, that we can't have complexity, right? But life is about complexity, and it's about the theory of complexity. But she's saying that we keep coming up with new stories to patch the theory. Well, when you can't come up with new stories anymore to patch the theory, then the theory is falsified.
Yeah.
But until that happens, as long as we can find these mechanisms, test them in the lab, and say, "Oh, this happened, that happened, this happens," we still have a theory. And it's not that the theory has failed; it's that the theory gets finer and finer grained as we go along. And with the genome, it's really complicated.
It's weird that you'd want to throw the whole thing out to start with. I mean, we learn new aspects of physics, whether we learn the tennis racket effect or something like that. Just because we learn what the tennis racket effect is, or why things that are not in gravity might be changing, like their physical motion, we don't say, well, now that we learned that, oh, well, gravity's all wrong, let's throw out the entire theory of gravity. That's absolutely ridiculous. You've just added something to it. You don't take the whole model and chunk the whole model. You just you add that to your paradigm of understanding. It doesn't throw the model out.
One of my favorite scientists of all time. One of my favorite. This is very fast, Scott. I'll say my point very fast. One of my favorite scientists of all time, this guy you maybe heard of, named Albert Einstein. And one of my favorite quotes from him is, "Things should be as simple as possible and no more." And that is exactly right. In science, we make it as simple as possible, especially when we're trying to teach it to people, but we're not going to make it more simple than it should. The data indicates it should be. And the data indicates that every mechanism that evolution can list, and there are many, natural selection and gene drift and hybridization and gene flow and mutation and extinction and on, niche partitioning. Show me the one you have a problem with, Rebekah. But anyways, you know, but that doesn't mean that we're overcomplicating things. Things are complicated, and our theory accurately reflects that complexity. And
right.
by doing so, it has extremely broad, incredible usage to the point where we can do things like actually observe a speciation. And doing such a thing takes an incredible amount of planning and foresight. But because we understand evolution, we're able to do it. Like, for instance, how we recently completed a 30-year pattern of observations that observed a speciation of mollusk species via the mechanism of niche partitioning off the coasts of Norway and Sweden. And we were able to do this partly because we understand something called paleolimnology. We understand sediments at the bottoms of lakes and how to study and understand them. And because we did that, we were able to understand that nutrient levels in certain Swedish and Nordic lakes were about to reappear. They were about to increase again and go back up to levels that they once were at when there were two mollusk species due to niche partitioning, one that lived above the tide line and another that lived below the tide line. And then one of them vanished because nutrient levels dipped, but then we saw nutrient levels were coming back up. So we said, hey, we think this niche is going to partition again. We think this species is going to divide into two again. And we freaking watched it happen. And it's not because we were patching a failed theory. It's because we were improving the theory to more accurately reflect the complexity of reality.
So when I put a puzzle piece into the puzzle, Rebekah would say, "Oh, that's just a story, a rescue device."
Yes. Yeah.
Reality.
That's what the puzzle
you put such a beautiful metaphor together that's so simply. Well, I put so much effort into repeating, and this is like what they call the bullshit asymmetry principle, where it takes so much less effort to just spew endless amounts of bullshit than it does to correct even 2 minutes worth of spewing bullshit, like we've very much seen with this video. You got me. You got me.
Are you quoting Austin?
Curse you, Icarus.
Is creationism just a complaint that reality isn't as simple as my great grandpa's reality?
I think so. Yeah.
Things were simpler back then. There was I remember that Twilight Zone episode. I can't remember the name of the town, but you know, this guy, he kept getting off the train and going into this old 1800s town where all he did was go and fish in the creek at down by the river, and with his, you know, with a son or somebody, you know, and then he kept getting back on the train, and his life was complicated and everything was so bad until finally one day he got off the train, just ran out the back of the train, and the name of the town was actually the name of that ambulance that took his dead body away. And basically his idea of heaven was going back to that simple, uncomplicated time. And this just sounds like people who don't understand that reality is complicated, and we try to come up with the simplest explanations. But that simplest explanation, that set of explanations, is evolutionary theory, and all you have is God did it. God did it. God did it. God did it.
Yeah, and that is the most reductionist.
Yeah,
that is the most reductionist idea ever. But then when science reduces things, like reduction is simply a form of explanation. And when you reduce things to natural selection and random mutation, they complain about that, right? Because life is not rich anymore. But life is rich, and it is complicated, and it is about complexity theory. And now if you started looking into, Eric Davidson wrote a book on gene regulatory networks. If you start looking into what's really going on in evolution and in embryology and embryogenesis, you realize how the complexity of this thing is just enormous. It's unfathomable. And then and life is rich, and complicated. And I just don't see a problem with that.
What are you
But he-
talking about?
he has a problem with
Millions of
complexity.
species, millions of iterations over millions of years
Yeah.
being complicated?
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. This should
Oh,
be very
yeah,
simple.
yeah.
This should be very.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my point was just
Yeah.
that even if it's complicated, it has successful results, which is a point that's been made over and over again. That is an especially mind-blowing example of successful results, of predicting the existence of a new mollusk species, and then it freaking happens. If some
Yeah.
religious apologist did that, they would poop their pants and say, "Oh my God, this proves Jesus forever." But when the entire scientific community does stuff like this all the time, it's like, oh, that's not significant. You're just telling stories. Like, oh my God.
Hey,
please.
Robin Webster, I've seen this joke keep going on and on with a bunch of different folks in this group. And with, I don't know if y'all seeing what's on screen here, but have you ever seen a dog give birth to a non-dog? I wanted to say, and I don't know if y'all have ever heard of these Georgia quotes, because you keep saying some things that are from Texas or from Florida and different places. But there is one called "shaking like a dog shitting a peach seed." that the dog quivers, but see, the
Oh,
dogs will
God.
eat the peaches, is what'll happen.
Yeah.
And the peach seed doesn't,
No.
digest. So the dog has to pass this peach seed.
Oh, my
So every
butthole
time.
hurts.
Every time I keep seeing y'all do this, have you ever seen a dog? I cannot help but visualize this dog shaking, shitting a peach seed. That's a Georgia
Oh,
quote.
a peach coming from a dog.
No, a peach seed, the large seed in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes my butt hurt
You know
just
what's
thinking
great
about it.
is this is the sign language sign for asshole. This or this.
Okay, just to prove I'm not crazy, I put that episode of Twilight Zone in the live chat. It's called A Stop at Willoughby, and it's just pining for simpler times, and that seems to be what creationism is doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to watch that one. I'll have to watch
To
that
me,
one.
it's a classic. Among all the different classic episodes, that's one of the best.
There's something on the way.
Oh.
Something.
You know, I've got porchetta up there, and I'm going to go heat it up and make a sandwich. But should I? Because I'm just going to die anyway. I mean, and I'm just
You're
created
just
by
an ape,
random
Mike.
chance.
Yeah.
I'm just an ape, so why should I do this? Why
Great
should I
point.
eat? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Man.
But now that I'm thinking about porchetta, I think we're going to wrap it up, guys.
Life goes on till it
Wrap
doesn't.
it up. I'm watching Alien, the new Alien. What is it called? The series, the new Alien series.
Alien Earth?
Alien.
Oh,
Resurrection.
Oh, you're talking about the xenomorphs.
The series, yeah, Alien. Yeah.
Haven't watched that
It's
one.
on Paramount. Anyway,
Alien
I started
Earth?
watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alien Earth. Yeah, and every one is like a movie in itself. It's pretty interesting. Anyway.
Well, thanks for having me on,
Watching
Mike. I
that.
appreciate it. I'm thanks to be belling off of here anyway.
Skeptic,
It's good
thanks for
chatting
being
with all
here,
y'all.
man. It was really good.
Great having you.
No doubt. Y'all take care. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, take care. Okay, guys, we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here.
Well, I want to thank
we're
all the
gonna end the
people
stream.
that joined us because
Oh.
it wasn't as big a crowd, but it was quality. It really was.
Yeah.
So, Austin, tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the One True Zone, or
Yep.
is it 3 p.m.? 2 p.m.
3 mine. Wait, are you an hour before or an hour after me?
No, I'm Central. You're Central. I
No,
think,
I'm
aren't you?
Eastern. No, I'm.
Oh,
I'm
you're Eastern.
I'm,
Oh, okay.
I'm EST.
Yeah, you're in the wrong place. Okay. In the Central Zone, it's 2 p.m. So in the One True Zone. Anyway, I intend to be there. I want to talk to this guy. Protein folding is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Which I have tried to learn a lot about many times and failed. But anyway, it'll be good.
What time,
okay.
did, you say? What time did you say? I spaced out.
3 p.m. EST.
2 p.m. 2 p.m. Central.
Okay, 2 p.m. Central.
Okay.
See, I can do the
2
conversion,
p.m.
but
I can't. I fuck it up every time. If you give me an Eastern time zone, I'll show up at 4 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock. I mean, it's inevitable. I don't do binary. Like I get really confused by left and right. Like my sons will say, turn left here. And what do you mean by that? I don't get it. What if I'm facing the other way? What if I turn my head? I don't know. Anyway, goodbye, cruel world. We're going to leave. Anybody else have any parting shots? Anything?
So, college is expensive and healthcare is expensive.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, subscribe
It
to
is.
my channel and like me and
And the
send me
rent
money,
is too
please.
damn high.
Yeah.
That's a throwback.
I'm not gonna shake the money jar at you too often, but I am shaking it a little bit right now. I do need some I need at least $65 within 2 weeks to buy an extended access to a statistics teaching tool called Alex. So I am shaking the bean
no
can
shit.
a little bit. So
They
yes,
charge that
please
much?
come to my channel, subscribe, maybe send me a little tip on Venmo or contribute to my GoFundMe's. Help me become Dr. Austin Sims someday.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That would be good.
That actually sounds
Alex.
good. Putting doctor in front of your name actually sounds pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And to really earn it too, not to write something that could be written in crayon and get it in 4 months of correspondence with some
You don't want to
unaccredited.
get your PhD from Patriot University?
Yeah.
You can wear Hawaiian shirts all you want.
Yeah.
After that.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks everybody out there in chat, and we're out of here.
Goodbye,
cool
everybody.
world.
Bye,
Stay
everybody.
curious.
Be good to your fellow humans.